Frost Giant revealed their new game yesterday. The RTS that is meant to be the spiritual successor of StarCraft 2, StarCraft 1 and Warcraft 3. And it's called Stormgate. I have a video and you can see the link to it where I show the cinematic trailer and share some initial thoughts. Many people are wondering how to feel about it exactly. We only saw the cinematic trailer and no gameplay yet. And because I am a content creator, I'm here to tell you how you should feel about it. Because people are confused, some are disappointed, some are let down, some expect it differently. So I'm going to tell you in this video how you should feel about it. Watch till the end and I'll let you know exactly how you should feel. Until then, if you like this kind of content, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube because I play Warcraft 3. I play Heroes of the Storm, I play Age of Empires, I play other RTSs, other games, and I talk about stuff, gaming stuff, interesting stuff. So if you like this, make sure to subscribe and talk more in the comments section. Now, if you want to have a little bit of a longer discussion and give feedback regarding things or engage with me in discussion about games that goes just a little bit beyond YouTube comments, make sure to subscribe to my Discord as well. You can just join. And we have a lot of gaming channels there where we can talk about games, and I'm very active in it myself. Link is in the description. And I should also let you know that this Monday on the June 11th, 12th, 13th, I have an interview with a Frost Giant developer, Kevin Monk, and I'm going to be able to ask him a number of questions, including some of the questions that you guys have asked me in the YouTube comments of my Stormgate cinematic trailer reveal video, and some from Discord. Leave comments here as well if you have more questions that you wonder about for Stormgate. Now, having said that, I wanted to break down everything we know so far about the game, and we're gonna know more after the interview, and how I feel about them personally. So let's start with Frost Giant, the company name. I think it's interesting because a Frost Giant is like a Yeti. I don't know this from them, but it feels like a Frost Giant would be able to survive a blizzard and come out of it healthy. Just like these ex-developers of Blizzard have branched off and made their own company so that they can have an RTS being made for a company that wants to make PC games. And not like how Blizzard is right now, and who only want to make mobile games and cash grabs. So that kind of feels symbolic, so I like the name of the company quite a lot. I'm gonna give it a 8 out of 10. Then the name was unveiled of the game, Stormgate. I think it's a 9 out of 10 name. It's simple, it is recognizable, it is easy to pronounce, easy to write. When you say it, you know how to write it. It is not something something of the something something colon first edition something. Kind of long. Just Stormgate, and when you Google it, you find the game. So it's good. I give it a 9 out of 10. I like it a lot. I like how it sounds as well, phonetically. Then let's talk a little bit about the cinematic trailer. The cinematic trailer is the first unveiling that any of us have had of the game. And that's what most of us have, is the only thing that we have to judge the game by at this time. Because of this, some people are a little bit let down. We can take a small look at it again, as I have it right here. Remember this? Starts with their logo. It's cool. Then it goes to the Aurora Borealis. Then our first character, very much a Kerrigan ghost kind of lookalike before she turned all cool with the dreadlocks. I mean, tentacles coming out of everywhere and the stiletto heels. And being able to control the Zerg in StarCraft and whatnot. This is our first look of what we are probably supposed to identify with, the human heroine, the hero of the story. She's here some kind of scientist. She's about to give up her journey as she's here investigating some kind of architectural site, some kind of ancient foregone civilization, and she uses her little probe observer, Protoss observer, R2-D2 lookalike thing, which sounds very much like a Blizzard probe or observer or R2-D2, probably with intent to show that they come from a legacy. The developers come from a legacy of making Blizzard games, and they probably feel some kind of ownership over those because they made those games as well. Even though, of course, they don't own that license anymore, they think, hey, maybe we can use those kind of sounds as well. Then we see some kind of character here. Some people theorize that this might be a coming of the third race that's going to be announced. So far we know about humans, and later in the trailer you'll see the Infernals, some kind of demon race. This might be another race, some kind of Atlantean kind of race. I saw that theory. And we also know that there's going to be more races because the devs said more than 2, but they also said more races will come, aka plural. So we're thinking now 4 or more races from what we can tell. And just a reminder, the beta was planned for 2023, but that's a target and that may still change. So what's going on here? She's using her probe to scan one more look. And just talking about the logic, she has a probe which is apparently very good at scanning things. After all, it is showing a blueprint, kind of hologram over this ruined rock. Here's a ruined rock. That's what she can see. The probe is revealing a hologram of a character standing there with a kind of ethereal shield. None of this can be touched or seen with the naked eye. She's standing right here and she tells command, one more look. But why didn't she use the probe right away? That's what I'm wondering. When she uses the probe, it is blithely obvious that it is in front of her face and it is revealed there. And in order to actually interact with the thing, she's making a pretty big mistake. Children know that squares go in squares, circles go in circles, and triangles go in triangles. And weird obelisk type of shape things should go in a weird obelisk type of shape. So I don't know why she thinks the obelisk will fit inside the circle. Maybe some part of her prior knowledge as a scientist. But everything is made quite easy because it's glowing a hole in her pocket. So she thinks she should take it out. And the moment she takes it out, she kind of just reaches forward. This is probably coming from a long line of experience with 1990 adventure games where you try to interact literally anything with anything. Use toilet brush on painting. I smudged something away. Now I know who this person was and what year they were born in. I have solved the adventure game. I mean, we've tried it all in those old adventure games. Hey, it worked. Yeah, pretty cool. So that's nice. So now it goes into the shield. And that sets off a chain of events that has all the shattered remnants, all the artifacts from the past, reinforce themselves into the shield. This is some kind of legendary high technology weapon thing, a shield. Now it is assembled. She's able to lift it off the perch without any effort whatsoever. She has, but for all intents and purposes, look, her hands are not closed. A very light touch and light grasp of the shield, and is able to lift it off whatever ghostly force was holding it there. Because this is a high technology kind of interaction here, I mean, there's a lot going on here that I don't think is possible right now in our world and our time. Because that's the case, I would imagine that this was intended by the original creators, that they sent this crystal to some kind of place in order for it to be meant to be found by one of our protagonists, and therefore they might as well make it easy to lift it off. I mean, if you've done the math and you've put the crystal in the shield, then you might as well lift it off hard. There's no point for it to hold it in its cold, dead virtual hands and make you work for it and have to actually try and pull it away hard, which is just as well because she doesn't look like a warrior. She looks like a scientist. She's pretty skinny, though looks may deceive. Just look at me, for instance. I'm pretty lethal. Then suddenly Demon Thing comes. Now I have a lot to say and think about this creature. This creature is called an Infernal. It is one of 2 playable races. It has obvious demonic overtones. There's something I like and I dislike about it. First of all, if you look at Blizzard cinematics, I challenge you to find one monstrosity that has any kind of mandibles. So any kind of creature that has mandibles, which actually includes orcs, that doesn't do the 3-second cinematic scream. And I think it's a nice way to show off, and Blizzard cinematics are amazing, and it's a nice way to show off its obvious unwillingness to reason with you and reach parlay solutions. And it shows off the cinematic skills of the artists. But it's always the 3-second growl, and it does take me personally a little bit out of the moment because it is not super logical that it would spend its element of surprise if it is a rational creature, that it would spend its element of surprise in a kind of feral scream, unless it's pretty much used to the usual life forms that it meets running away in fear, therefore having less resistance and saving energy, which any creature should want to do. If you're going to have a meal, like we're thinking in terms of walking on treadmills to burn calories. That's the modern human. But in a world of survival, maximum calorie extraction with minimum calorie expenditure should be the goal. So if you can make them afraid with a scream, I guess that works in your favor, because now you can take down a running prey instead of a confident prey. So the scream, it is what it is. It's very common in Blizzard cinematics, but it's always a 3 to 5 second scream, which is like, here, let me try my best rendition of Deathwing or like an orc. Orc. Deathwing. And it's always kind of the same. Naga when it comes out of the water, when in the Illidan cutscene in Warcraft. It's like, all right, okay. What I don't like about this is that it's cliche. What I like about it is that it's very fast. Not really spending a lot of time, wasting a lot of time screaming. It is less than a second altogether, so not bad. Okay, she starts shooting with a gun that she cannot possibly have a lot of confidence in working. She doesn't seem overly shocked, so clearly she is aware of the existence of this race. We also find out that this is true because in the later interviews with Frost Giant developers, we hear that this is a post-apocalyptic setting because humans found Stormgates, which is a portal to another world or another place, and Dreadlords, Nathrazim, Infernals come through those gates, and they have devastated human society, and humans are picking up the pieces and are fighting back against them. So she's not confused what this is, so she probably knows how strong they are, and because she knows how strong they are, she should also know that the paltry gun that she has very little chance. But you know what? Perhaps Cornered Badger, or maybe if you do a lucky shot into the nape of their neck, then you can get a kill, but you have a 1 out of 100 chance. But hey, still gonna try, right? Like, what are they gonna accuse you of? Being a late GG caller? So she starts shooting, didn't do anything. He smacks her. You can actually barely see how he smacks her. A bit of artistic license there with the blurry camera movement. Not as bad as Blair Witch Project, but certainly a fast blow. She gets knocked into a rock. Doesn't seem too much worse for the wearer. You can see the grimace a little bit. I take a hit like that. I'm probably not streaming for 2 weeks, but she seems all right. It also didn't seem that she got hit in the shield. Her shield was not lifted, you see. She doesn't get hit in the shield. It looks like he smacked her in the chin or something, or on the side. I would imagine that that's the purpose of a shield, to hold it up. If you're lucky, it has some kind of strong suspension system. I mean, normally if you have a shield and you get hit by a sledgehammer, your arm is going to break, your ribs are going to break, the shield is going to shatter. But this is a pretty special shield. Maybe it works like Bo's headset, no ad, where there's active noise cancellation, and even though your arm may not be strong enough to resist the demon, but because it is such a magical shield, it has a full suspension where your arm doesn't even go back. It absorbs all the power through some kind of magical means. But sadly for her, she didn't lift the shield. Nonetheless, she seems 100% okay. Would in fact get hit again, 10 out of 10. He charges at her. Now we kind of get to see how demons view the world. No wonder that they're so angry. They're constantly seeing red. He charges at her. Now we see the shield in action, and we can see in fact that her arm is at a 30-degree angle with her elbow. That's about as far as it'll go, depending on the size of your biceps. I would go further, but I've got too much going on there. It could almost go further, and especially if your arm or elbow is breaking, or it would definitely slam into your head, your arm would break, which leads me to believe that this is in fact a rather magical shield. You can kind of see the impact here. That's almost looking like an explosion. That means that a lot of force was absorbed. He wasn't just doing a love tap. She's actually able to absorb it because it's a magical shield. So, powerful artifact. I'll suspend my belief and say, like, yeah, I don't know what this shield is. Maybe it is indeed very strong. So, she is saved. He seems a little shocked by that. Had to shake his head a bit. Lifts his hands in a kind of pugilist stance, but decides to dispense with the boxing. As he understood, this is not a boxing match like on his homeworld. There will be no points. This is life and death. Does one more scream. Charges forward. And was gonna go what it looks most like an overhead chop. Presumably in order to cover as much area that she couldn't cover it with the shield, rather than a single point of impact. Maybe have some of those cool spikes on his arms kind of impale her head a little bit from the side as she's blocking the fist. Kind of a cool move like that. I don't know exactly how his joints can move, seen mostly in a humanoid way. In come suddenly the lasers. The lasers look pretty good from D.Va. I mean, from a Goliath. I mean, from whatever this is. He didn't like that too much. There's a bunch of holes in his chest, but they mostly seem ornamental or self-inflicted. I don't think they were all from the gun. Somehow, the D.Va mech forgets that she has guns, or it is reloading, and decides that a frontal charge is the wisest thing against this melee demon thing. It's walking forward with a kind of funny bunny hop gait. Tries a charge and finds out that this is a horrible strategy. Perhaps this is how they appeal to the player to come up with better strategies, because I don't think this is a winning one. Luckily for the bot, it is completely invulnerable and invincible. Not a scratch from its ineffectual hammering. Now it seems like Mr. Demon Boy made a gross miscalculation about the power of this mech. Human ingenuity is really something, isn't it? A point blank shooting into his heart, or where a human heart would be, and this might be a physiological misunderstanding by DivaBot, Madame or Sir, whatever's inside there, does a couple of holes, but seemingly not much at all. Though it does push him back for the moment. He does another primal scream, that's scream number 3, seems to be a very telegraphed move for him. Now you know you can simply take 2 steps to the left if you hear the scream, because he's going to charge forward when he does. Comes in with a kind of animalistic 4-man, like 4 hands crawl forward, perhaps to reduce the weak spot in his chest that has already been softened up by myriad bullet holes. In comes the jetpack, propels it backwards. He finally uses his wings. And this greedy boy is looking to finally get his hands on the mech. In comes rocket. Now, you would think that the only reason she was shooting the rapid fire gun is in order to soften up the chest so that the rocket can be embedded inside of it. However, she shot for the solar plexus, or at least where a human solar plexus would be. I don't know if they indeed have a ribcage or an endoskeleton at all, or if it's all outer skeleton plates. The rocket gets embedded, and he gets blown to smithereens. 1-0 to the humans.
Glad you could make it.
We gotta move.
Glad you could make it. That might be an ode to the Warcraft 3 campaign as well. Glad you could make it, Uther. As if I could forget he. So, a little bit of small talk.
We gotta move. Now. There's a storm coming.
There is a storm coming, they say. It's a bit odd to discuss the weather. I mean, as a Dutch person, we discuss the weather all the time, but not when a pack of rabid dogs without a leash is coming at us. And I would say this is a factor 100 worse. All around them, there are demon creatures running at them, and they say there's a storm coming. That seems like a real understatement. What's more, and I just want to show this, when the mech came, it shot the demon, lands facing the demon, this is wise, and has the chance to turn around and look at the useless scientist, that does have a very powerful weapon, leans downwards away from their enemy that is looming right there and says, "I've got this." "Well, duh, you better, because I don't got this," thinks the scientist, "and did you really have to turn your back towards the demon?" This seems like it is important for the advancing of the dialogue that they envisioned, but it doesn't feel very logical to me that you would turn your back to an enemy at such a moment. Just to say something smug. I mean, if this was a multiplayer game or a horror movie, you would know now that the Diva bot is going to die. Yeah, you could call it a Giga Chat moment, but most likely it's clowning off before you lose like shit.
I've got this.
Then, when they say there's a storm coming, they run away and they escape all the demons very narrowly while not looking at them. And that's, I guess, my major...
Coming with it.
I guess that's my major problem with this cinematic, is that it is not very logical. I don't feel like it is super logical. There was a lot of invincible hero armor among the human scientists and the Diva boss. They felt so invincible, so cocksure, in a way that the cinematics at Warcraft and Starcraft did not feel confident. Now, is that necessarily a problem? Let's talk about the timing of this reveal and this cinematic trailer. This cinematic trailer came out on June 9th, 22. In 23, they're looking to maybe release the beta. That is anywhere from 9 months to 12 months to 15 or 18 months out from having either an early alpha, an early access, or a beta. Any kind of playable version, we could be between 9 months to 18 months out as an estimation if it goes as they intended. So why show the cinematic trailer now? In previous rounds of investment, Frost Giant announced that they have enough money to make the game. They got 6 million in funding, 9 million in funding, and then 25 million in funding. Part of the funding comes from Dreamhaven, which is Mike Morhaim's company. Part of it comes from Riot, which are known from League of Legends and Teamfight Tactics. And funding doesn't mean that they get any agency about how the game is made, but they do want to see returns. And more funding could also be a good thing so that you can basically approach a larger scope of a project. But they haven't said recently that they need more funding, though this could be a reason to have something to show for. At the Summer Game Fest yesterday, that might be a reason why they wanted to have this trailer coming out now to say, we do exist, we're not going to be like Star Citizen and like never release the game. We exist, here's a progress report, there'll be more progress later. In fact, there's more this Sunday, which is tomorrow by the time you see this video on YouTube. And I'll look at that as well. But this might be why they wanted to bring out something and why this cinematic trailer might be less than it could be. Another thing to consider is that the budget for Frost Giant is in the tens of millions. 25 million, 9 million, 6 million, plus whatever money they put in themselves. They had a good job, some of them, at Blizzard, so they might be bringing in some of their own capital, potentially. I don't know if they are or not. But that might be, when we look at a budget of tens of millions, that may not lead to be wanting to make the same financial investments into a cinematic trailer that is really just there to put them on the map. And we know that Blizzard's cinematic team, for all their other errors of the 2022 era, is still one of the best. Blizzard makes amazing cinematics. They always have for more than 20 years. And if we measure other companies by that stick, sometimes they won't be as good. But I still feel it could be better. Even though I will excuse them for not having maybe as much budget for it, I think the story could have been more interesting. In the end, I think they went for something both in their complete design philosophy of the game, in terms of the storytelling of the game, as well as the trailer. They went for something very safe. Human theme, demon theme, humans fighting demons, humans having invincibility armor, and whatever other races are still coming, I don't know. But if humans and demons are something to judge by, I would expect more similar themes coming out. The Nordic frigid men, or the advanced technology race of inscrutable aliens, or maybe the insectoid race of unnegotiable adversaries of insect swarms. These are some of the more cliche stories, and it might be that they are thinking of the lowest common denominator kind of thing, the most approachability, the most recognizability. But I also think it's a little shy, I don't want to say cowardly, and a bit safe. And I wonder if trying to appeal to every single person by keeping the story very accessible and very recognizable, you're failing to capture the hearts of those many. Not just of the few, but of those many. That is my feeling about it, that they could have gone for a more adventurous route with the storytelling. I even feel like in just 5 minutes I could come up with a better story for both the cinematic trailer as well as the civilizations that are in the game. And that may seem arrogant or asshole-ish, but it feels like that to me. I actually thought about it for 5 minutes, and I have another story concept here. In a distant future, human society attempts to experiment with heightened intelligence animals to be used in war against each other. These experiments go out of control, but here's what they try to do. We mutate 4 species: ants, scorpions, spiders, and snakes. We put them on different worlds: the ant race, the scorpion race, the spider race, and the snake world. We put them on different worlds, and we attempt to control their evolution, but it goes wrong, and they eliminate us from their worlds. They discover their own spaceflight. They start expanding. It sets the stage for a 4-race RTS with potential to expand to more civilizations, including maybe humans who are trying to reclaim their birthright. Would that be interesting? Would that still be identifiable? Or is that because there is no human, you're going to miss out on a slice of the gaming society? I don't know. Probably there are gaming psychologists that will advise storytellers on whether it is approachable enough, whether it is all-encompassing enough. But I mean, I think even this, or thinking about it more, there could be a more adventurous route while still trying to encapsulate some of the legacy that StarCraft and Warcraft began. New races could be introduced. And then you would vie over planets in the solar system for habitation and expansion, and that would be the major antagonistic principle. And if you still want to have ancient alien civilization artifacts from races gone by, that's allowed. So, did the trailer come out now and was a little bit less than exciting than some people thought because they wanted to get more funding? Or did they think it was going to be received a little bit more well than it actually did by some of us? I don't know. A lot of the Frost Giant announcement, we were interested. Why is all this important to us? Because we're still playing Warcraft 3 and StarCraft 2. These are not dead games. We love these games. And although the games could have had more support and more players and viewers if Blizzard had remained in the building and continued to develop and support them, these games are still going strong. And we're not desperate for a new game per se, though some might be. I'm still enjoying Warcraft 3 a lot. But we are on the lookout for a new one, especially one that could have the same quality as how we perceive Warcraft 3 and SC2 and SC1 to be in particular. So that's why we care. That's why we care for it to be good. Why are we looking at Frost Giant in particular? Because there have been other RTSs that came out. Spellforce 3 is a free-to-play RTS that came out, a year, 2 years, 3? I don't know exactly when. We're not looking at that one as much. So the PR is quite strong here, and it's because they're ex-Blizzard. And the big question is ex-Blizzard still something that has a lot of meaning? Blizzard used to have a lot of meaning. I used to be proud to say that I was a Blizzard gamer. Not only is that not true anymore, as I've branched out with games like Age of Empires 4, but I'm also not proud to say it anymore. I'm still proud of the community of Blizzard games that we've built together, that I've built, and I'm proud to play Warcraft 3 and HOTS because I love these games and I would recommend them to people. But not proud to say I'm a Blizzard gamer anymore, because it now means something else. They may associate me with Diablo Immortal, for instance, or Hearthstone Mercenaries. Though if you enjoy it, good for you. So, to that I say, yes, they're ex-Blizzard, yes, they were involved in some of the games that we loved, but I'm not gonna take the ex-Blizzard vouchsafe and put a lot of stock on it per se. I am communicating with those developers and I'm gonna have one of them over for an interview, but not as a yes man, not in a way that my loyalty to the game and to the company is a foregone conclusion. I am happy to be involved and to see where it's going, and I'm very interested in the gameplay. And I think the cinematic trailer is only a small part of it. I think the trailer is a 4 out of 10 for me. I think it has good graphical fidelity, if in maybe a style that is a bit more young than some of the StarCraft 1 cinematics. But it doesn't excite me, and it doesn't hype me by itself. Some of the other things I've heard, I'm quite hopeful about the game. And I do believe the intent is there, and I think the talent is there as well. But there's still a lot of decision making in design and in storytelling and setting and so on. and you need to have the endurance to have the long time support. All of those, I believe, will define whether Stormgate is going to be successful and personally interesting to me. Not just because they're ex-Blizzard. I'll need the game to speak for itself. The target audience for the game is everyone. They're looking to target everyone. They are putting a lot of emphasis into Elite 1-on-1. But they're also looking to have campaign and PvE content, 1ve, 3ve, and so on and so forth. So that is encouraging for the casual that doesn't feel like they identify with a philosophy that focuses only on the elite. At the same time, we're being told it is for us as well. So theoretically, it's for everyone. The monetization, what do you guys think about that? Monetization, it's going to be free to play with extra payment for services and or aesthetics. Yes, there's going to be heroes, but more details about it later, Hyperion, not really for this video. Free to play means that there could be a lot more smurfing, which is common in Heroes of the Storm as well, which is now common in StarCraft 2. And smurfing, to be honest, no matter what you do, it cannot be stopped. So that's definitely going to change the ranked experience. Luckily, most top players want smurfing to be part of the game rather than being against it. And top players can beat smurfs because they're that good. As for people that feel like they're always losing on ranked because they're always running into smurfs, those people aren't that good at 1-on-1 anyway. So I don't think that's that big of a deal. They can just go play 3ve or anything like that. But to be fair, that's not really a fair argument. Even if you're in the middle slice of the ranked society, you should still have a right to have a good ranked integrity and not constantly run into Grandmaster Smurfs. Nonetheless, though, with free to play, it's going to happen. Unless there's a very strong incentive for every player to keep playing on their main account because of stacking stats, stacking achievements, stacking bonuses, or whatever that do not make you stronger. They said never pay to win. Then again, the Immortal developers said that you can never buy equipment, and we now know that's a lie. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Never pay to win. Let's believe that for now. That means, maybe a smurf will not be a big penalty to you. We'll have to wait and see. I think there's going to be smurfing when it's free to play. So that's the downside. The upside is a lot more people can try the game. And that's a good thing for me as a content creator. It's a good thing for players that don't want to immediately commit a large sum of money. 60 euros, 100 euros for a game up front. So I think it is valid, as long as it's not pay to win. Now I'd like to go over some sentiments in my Discord and on my YouTube comments from Grubby followers. That's you guys. Rakanar said, I cannot understand the hype, to be honest. When they, ahead of the announcement itself, announced their announcement several times, and even a lot of pros like Vortex and Leadercore or other SC2 people praised the game and the devs' ideas, I got a little bit hyped myself. But when I saw the trailer and the screenshots they provided, I was very disappointed. Besides the devs having worked on SC2 and Warcraft 3 in the past and saying the right kind of words, there's literally nothing yet to prove their ambitions except a mediocre cinematic trailer and a couple of screenshots. Don't get me wrong, what we initially saw and heard about Reforged was also great and promising. And we know how that ended. It's PR talk, nothing more. We want to do X is nice, but you need to actually deliver X. I don't want to say what they're saying is not promising, if it's all true, but I just can't understand the hype yet from a lot of players and viewers based on nothing yet but PR talking points. And I think that is fair. I would say that is a fair sentiment, and part of the reason why I'm making this video as well. And I kind of feel the same about it, about the screenshots and the trailer. The storytelling, not very good yet. And I do think it should be said that it's more important if the gameplay eventually is good than that the trailer's good, rather than a good trailer and bad gameplay. But like you'll see some people say, it's not exactly the thing to get most hyped about right now as it stands. And we can only judge what we can see. Sinra says, it looked like they legit mixed Warcraft 3, SE, and Overwatch together. I do wish they would have actually made their own thing instead of trying to appeal just to their former fan base from Blizzard. It seems more like a lure rather than them actually trying to make something people will enjoy. But of course, with the limited knowledge we're given from that little insight, there's not a whole lot to go off. And that's kind of the central theme here. We don't have much to judge yet, though we do kind of know part of the setting already. And I do think it's a little bit strange as well. Though I did ask Rakanar, if I hadn't talked about it, if I hadn't co-streamed it, if others hadn't, would you have heard about Frost Giant and Stormgate at all? And he said, well, actually, I wouldn't have watched the announcement show, that's for sure. Maybe I would have read about it because I checked some gaming news, but I see where you're coming from. So the point is, we are talking about the game, so their advertisement goal with the trailer has been reached. Maybe they didn't want to squander too much money on it, which is why it is not leaving us trembling at the epicness of it. And this is possible, and I'm willing to take that as an answer. But at the same time, I'll reserve judgment till I see some gameplay. Right? Probably more seeing some version of the game. I did not care about this game at all until someone else said it was going to be the best thing since sliced bread, so his expectations went up. And that's kind of how hype building can sometimes turn around and shoot you in the foot, because if you say something cool is coming, but you don't say what it's going to be, people are going to think of the coolest thing they could potentially think of, and then everything else is going to be a letdown. Why do companies still do that? Either they're overestimating their announcement, the quality of it, or they're okay with it, the disappointment, but they still want you to know that they exist. Maybe one of those two. Corgi Butts says, I will be honest, I was hoping for a more fresh, unique setting rather than what appears to be a StarCraft clone with Diablo replacing the Zerg. It's whatever. I know I'm being a negative Nancy about this whole thing and I don't really have high hopes. I wish it all the best in the world, but I'm in the I'll believe when I see it mode. This is from the StarCraft Reddit. The trailer didn't really do them a favor, but the concept art got me, says Venom Souls. When I see these Zerg demons against the Terran, I already felt like how it would feel to command them. And those bats look sick. I hope they tone down the colors a bit, but overall I feel positive about this. So definitely not everyone hated the trailer, though he didn't think it was amazing. Grey Sky says, I don't think this looked low budget at all. It's just a less hyper-realistic, detailed vibe than Blizzard has been going for in their cinematics. For a new small company, this is insanely high quality. I don't give a fudge about cinematics in any event, but I'm surprised at some of these comments. These are games worth so much money with such high budgets that have way more cartoon... Oh, there are games worth so much money with high budgets that have way more cartoony looking everything than this. The demonic and human robotic races look dope to me. I'm just glad it's sci-fi after all. I don't really like the name of the game, but that's also whatever. I suspect their big issue will be creating a new generation of RTS players. SC2 veterans aren't the core audience. Most of us are done with high school and college and have been working full-time jobs for a long time now and have families and have less time in general, but more disposable income. Don't sell yourself short, Grey Sky. The question is, can this game get the Gen Z kids who grew up on Fortnite into RTS? I think that could be really difficult. There hasn't been an RTS anywhere near as big as SC2 since SC2. And Mossy Vagabond, on one hand, I was a bit disappointed about it not being SC3. Well, it can't be, licensing. On the other hand, I'm very excited about new races, co-op campaigns, and gameplay. Can't wait for it to come out. Well, you're going to have to. And this is from my YouTube on Follow Grubby. Essential Play says, this teaser trailer has very deep Hellgate London vibes for me. It was a game ahead of its time without proper support and development. I'm hopeful to see where this game goes. Custom maps kept Warcraft 3 and SC2 alive for quite some time. Let's hope they're looking seriously at all the aspects of the RTS genre and not just game modes, balance and 1v1 pro scene. Supposedly they will. Otto Kral says, the more I see and hear from this genre, this game, the more worried I get. The cinematic was underwhelming at best. Completely generic seems more appropriate. I have zero desire to find out more about this story. There's no excitement, nothing compelling. As someone who was hooked to Warcraft 3 because of the story and cinematics, long before he actually started dabbling into esports, that's bad news. So, for what it's worth, I liked the Warcraft 3 story, but I wasn't hooked as much to it as I was to the gameplay. So for me, that was not important. This is how people differ. I really hope the gameplay will make up for it and hit that sweet spot where it is enjoyable for pros and casuals. No one needs another artifact. That excited like 30 hardcore streamers, but literally nobody else. Gaming PC says, looks very promising. I also love that some assets look suspiciously similar to stuff we know and love from Blizzard. Helps ease the transition, perhaps? When I heard the orb thing make sound, says Kamina11, nostalgia hit me right in the face. Love the trailer and this has potential in my book. So when I went through some of the Reddit threads, I saw what is sometimes common on Reddit forums that are older, negative comment after negative comment. But I was happy to see that many of you that watched my cinematic trailer reveal on YouTube did like the trailer. And I'm actually happy with that. I'm not looking to convert you to my point of view. That's good. Because maybe it's not as important for me, and if someone else likes the story, it was a draw-in. I feel like we are getting hyped too much, says Sokar. The trailer was a cinematic, completely detached from the game itself. The 2 screenshots on the Steam page show very little. That's not enough, hailing it as the next big hope for RTS. It can still fail miserably, no matter who's behind it, even with the best intentions. Fishy Peril, the content of the cinematic itself was pretty standard, but the technical quality was very high. And the few screenshots you shared look very nice. I do think this could be good. Lucas, Leandro, I like the Brood War and Diablo 2 atmosphere. Okos Hug Pillow, cinematic looked pretty generic. It's like they took a StarCraft Goliath, a demon from Warhammer 40k, and a shield from Destiny. I didn't see anything unique to get me interested. And early access is a scam. Look at Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, 2 of the best games ever made. I've lost interest in Baldur's Gate 3 because it was in early access for so long. Yeah, I kind of get that. I mean, I have Baldur's Gate 3 and I completely forgot about it. No creativity, cartoonish and uninspired. I don't know, it looks a bit lame, a mix between Diablo and StarCraft, says Bravo Wing. On paper it looks amazing, but the cinematic was underwhelming. But that's my opinion anyway. Having said that, these are some of the feelings from the sentiments on... these are some of the sentiments from the community. Just a small slice and perhaps not statistically representative. And again, we'll get a lot more in-depth information once I do my interview with the developer on Monday, which will be uploaded to YouTube as well on Tuesday. Let's talk about my goals for the future and for Stormgate and other games. I was always playing very loyally just a very small subset of games and always within the Blizzard universe. But what I like with Age of Empires 4 is it showed me that new games can take me on an amazing journey of experience, while at the same time still showing how incredible the main games are that I've been playing because they were made so well, like Warcraft 3 and HATS, which I still enjoy. I am going to be keeping my eyes open for new gaming titles, especially in the RTS genre, but not necessarily exclusive to it. I saw a couple of cool games in the Summer Game Festival, like even Goat Simulator 3 looks pretty damn funny. Maybe we can try that and should be quite fun. Perhaps not for 10,000 hours, right? But to try it out. Even if it's just to watch trailers of other games, see gameplay footage, I think that's going to level up my gaming experience and knowledge and enjoyment. Maybe try it out once. And if we're drawn in and we like it, then and the game is worth it, we could play it more. And that includes Stormgate as well as any other games. And I may even try out some Spellforce 3 soon, which I heard some good things about it. And have you guys tried it? Have you tried it and what did you think? So finally, how should you feel about Stormgate? Because a lot of people feel confused and conflicted after their hype was shot through the roof and now they're like kind of depressed about it. I'm kind of with Corgi Butts here. With the final line, I'll believe it when I see it, while at the same time keeping my eyes on it, keeping my eyes open on it, and taking in Stormgate information, not lost to blind hype, but also not to blind despair that it's not going to be good. I think my opinion is it's going to be quite good, but as always, it is not just about what you have, the talent you have as an individual, the motivation you have as an individual. These are powerful forces that will make you succeed at life, with a little bit of luck as well, maybe a lot of luck. It's not just about what you have or what Frost Giant has. It's how hard you work for it, how hard you listen to feedback, or how arrogant you are in not listening to feedback, or how lazy you are about it. These are all polar opposites, and it's the implementation that will be the key, whether you or Frost Giant will succeed at the thing that this entity is trying to do, and that you are trying to do. So I would say cautious optimism is in its place, and they will need to earn our love and loyalty over time. They will need to prove it, and I think they're eager to try and prove that to us. That's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to sub if you didn't already. Make sure to give a like, leave a comment. Good for the algorithm. Cheers. Have a good night.